Sir Coxsone, we're searching, you know. We're looking for talent, you know, because he had a dream. I think that man had a dream, a good dream too. And he called me in his office and he said, Kenya, I think you should go solo. Now, when Stranger heard that I was going to be a solo singer for Sir Coxsone, Stranger encouraged me, you know, because he was already big, you know. He was big in Jamaica those days. Yes, so he said, yeah, man, this is your break, you know. And Sir Coxsone started me out on soul music, not ska. He said, I should sing soul music. And I sing 2 songs, adapted songs, American songs he gave me. And I learned them and I'm going to the studio and we did them. And those days with Tamale had a group, they called it the Soulettes. They accompanied me with the background vocals and yeah, and it released. But then the ska started to find its way. You know, Jamaica started to see the musical culture now start developing up now. And so they reach out for the ska. Thank God for that. Thank God for the ska.
That put the unique stamp on Jamaica.
Oh, and they were where I started to meet people like Jackie Mitu, Roland Alfonso, because they make up the Scatterlights, Lloyd Nibs, Tammy McCook, Johnny Moore, Brevet, bass player, and then the guitar player was Jerry.
The great pianist Monty Alexander.
Well, Studio One, I remember the place. I just remember being around those guys. You know, to me, that was the greatest honor that they would accept me because I was able to identify from an early age that them is these people are the greatest people. You know what I mean? I saw the movie actors on the screen. I said, man, look at that James Cagney. That's the great. But he was just a movie actor. And when the camera stopped, he went back to whatever he was being, you know. These musicians, the guy playing that horn, that was him playing that horn, and he was obliged to always live, because when you're a musician, you can't just play the horn and forget it. You have to live a philosophy, you know.
That's Tommy McCook.
That's Tommy McCook did, and Don Drummond, but the truth is a family all over the world, whether they're in New York City or Chicago, when guys get together, and especially if they're aspiring to a high art form. Because that's the thing with jazz, you know, it's a high art form of expression.
Was it? You said you saw Harry Belafonte back at Federal Studios. Was that the right?
I never saw Harry Belafonte. I was familiar with his song. He was like a hero to all Jamaicans because he is the guy that said "Island in the Sun," and people were singing it all over the world. So Harry, who was a Jamaican parentage, born in Harlem and grew up the American lifestyle for the most part, he knew about the value of his heritage, and it was a marvelous thing that he went out on the limb and said, we've got to record these folk songs from Jamaica. And when it happened, the combination of his talents and charisma and timing became an international hit. And he was the man who popularized Jamaican music and lifestyle back in the 50s. So I was aware of that. I remember seeing my friends and family dancing to these songs, but we heard them in their original form, undiluted, in our American recording studio, with Jamaicans who played it with that real, raw expression, like the calypso musicians of Jamaica, the mentor musicians. So I heard that music. I heard it like I knew it as well as I was listening to anything else. So I had a whole palette of music, whether it was the church songs, whether it was the Broadway songs in the house, the records, Nat King Cole's songs, Frank Sinatra songs, Elvis Presley songs. I just heard music, music, music. To me, it didn't matter what kind of music it was, you know. But I knew that we had a local music form in Jamaica that was like nothing else anywhere. I had no idea that people outside of Jamaica would hear this music and enjoy it.
Yeah.
I couldn't believe it.
Dennis Emmanuel Brown, who recorded some of the greatest music in reggae music history.
What you might be thinking about is I must have been robbed then because I was very young, right? Well, everyone goes through various changes, going to working with Downbeat and so forth. But I wouldn't see it as being robbed, you know, because
that was my first opportunity of being exposed to the outside world. So it was more of an opportunity for me, you know.
Yeah, so the money, I mean, you're not really thinking about getting a big bank account at that point. I mean, it was great to be where you were at the time.
Yeah, it was just to record. I just wanted to record.
How do you look at Coxsone Dodd today, taking into consideration where you've been, growing up with them, kind of coming to fame because of Coxsone, like many others?
I have a lot of respect for Coxsone up until today, because he was the one who gave me my first opportunity, you know, in terms of being introduced to the business, recording-wise. So I must lift my hat to him. People say all kind of crazy things about Coxsone Dodd, but you know, people go through various changes. You know, the change that one might have been through with Downbeat, that doesn't mean that I had to trot that same road. You know, it was much more different. But you know, Downbeat is cool. He's a businessman. You know, and people always be people. You know, I have nothing derogatory to say about Downbeat. He's a good man.
Do you meet up with him frequently to this day?
Very seldom I run into him.
When's the last time you run into him, and what happened?
Years. And he was enthused, you know. Hey, this so you doing nice and way. It's always happy. You know, he's always glad to see me. And
where were you? What situation?
I was on a flight going to Jamaica. He was on the same flight. I met him in New York. You know. At that time, I just completed this album called Inseparable.
That's not that long ago, is it? Or is it?
About 2-3 years ago.
Yeah, that's not that long ago.
Yeah, 2-3 years ago. And since then, I haven't seen him. Yeah.
It'll fall over again.
Yeah.
And so did you talk about the album? Did you sit together?
No, just brief, 5-10 minutes, and that's it. You know, because we have things to take care of. He was trying to get his stuff on the flight and so forth, so we didn't have much talking.
Yeah, the great Don One of Don One Studio. Tell me a little bit about the origins of Don One, because your original record shop was the present location of Music City.
Yes, I started here in 1976 at 1407 Nashville Avenue, that between Martin Street and Linden Boulevard. And I got started through Clement Dodd and Mrs. Dodd in 1976. And when we started the store, both myself and my wife, which is Miss Dodd, a sister of Miss Dodd, we started a little small store. And in the space of here, it becomes a gigantic distribution for Studio One records, and the only Studio One outlet in the United States. I started distributing music in New York before VP Records, because VP Records, they used to come through Randy's record at Schenectady Avenue. I think VP started in about 1978 or 79, somewhere around there. And we started before them.
Was Chin Randy's around at that time?
Yes, Chin Randy's was the major distributor in New York. And Donovan Germain from Penthouse Records, they used to do a lot of distribution too. Also, Brad Record in the Bronx, they used to be a main distributor and a big buyer of reggae music.
Alpha Boys School down in Kingston, Jamaica.
Yes, great. They're more than great, because I was by Coxsone's funeral in Jamaica, and this Alpha Boy band was outside playing. And trust me, I made several trips outside to look if it was the real Scatterlight outside playing. I could never believe these kids were so great. I get so frustrated when I went outside and said, oh, that's not right, that's really Scatterlight, real those kids, because they play back the song so authentic. Great future for the school, great future.
It's a musical tradition that's just gone on decade after decade after decade.
But I think they have the greatest future now lies ahead of them. For what I heard down in Jamaica, May 23rd, those little kids are great. They play. If you hear them play about the Scatterlight songs, You'd think, is it authentic song playing? You think they're playing records? No, they were playing the real thing. And Mr. Dodd had a lot of input in that school, even until the day he died. But although Coxsone died, there are so many records. I think Coxsone have more records inside the studio more than what he released. Oh, yeah. So it will be years before Mr. Dodd could release all those records. I can tell you that because I was in the studio one day with him and he was looking for something for me and I was in a tape room. And I see a lot of songs with Leroy Sibbles, Freddie McGregor, and Horace Andy that wasn't released. And I said to him, Sir, what happened about the songs I see on the ground here? He said, Jackson, you know that when these songs was done, they sound too fast to me, but Jackson look like it's the right time. No. That's why you see the tapes on the ground because I'm going to just listen to them and release a lot of them now, you know. But there's a lot of great songs. I know people, if, for instance, Computer Paul tell me that he play for Mr. Dodd 1 year straight, Monday to Friday, play at least 5 songs a day. Wow. And he never hear one of those songs yet released. Mm-hmm. So you know that's a lot of songs.
Sister Ignatius from Alpha School, who had association, brought up many of the artists who ended up recording ska music for Studio One as the Skatalites. I spent a number of occasions calling her on the phone, and this is one of those conversations.
You once said that ska music would always kind of remain in Jamaica.
I think so, sir.
Tell me what that means.
That has come the reggae and so on.
Tell me what that means by the ska music is always remaining in Jamaica.
Well, it's first of all, it is a particular dance to it. And at different times, especially around independence times, because it came out at independence, they always like to play ska music. And it's not only in Jamaica, but in the States, and as I said, in Europe, they seem to like, or they seem to be going for the ska music.
You mentioned the development of ska during the independence. How do you see ska music being created in Jamaica? What's your understanding of that?
Well, sir, I think that at that time, you had a lot of musicians, and they did to make their own music. You see, we used to get rhythm and blues from the States, and so we wanted to create our own music. Therefore, that was what they created at that time, the ska. And it had, as I said, its own dance, etc. to it.
When do you first remember it kind of coming into play during the independence?
Oh, well, first Eastern Standard Time. I remember that.
Freddie, ever ready McGregor?
You joined the Clarendonians in '63, is that accurate?
No, I started singing in '63. I went to Kingston in 1963 with the Clarendonians.
Ah, okay.
Ernie and Peter. They were already monsters.
Yeah.
You know, my association with them as a 7-year-old kid, everyone referred to me as Clarendonian.
Yeah.
And then I started singing harmonies in some of the songs, and then Ernie and myself, we started recording loads of songs together as Fitzy and Freddie. So to everybody, I'm just Clarendonians.
How long did you sing with them?
Ernest, we recorded for years. Ever since I went to Studio One, we recorded loads of songs.
Okay.
For many years.
A lot that Coxsone hasn't released?
Some he has released, some he has not.
Coxsone's bad reputation, is it justified or not?
Justified.
Okay. Foundation. What is it? What is your just perspective of presenting like cultural foundation music? Because most people don't last as long as Freddie McGregor has, and most people after a period of time, are going to switch and do different things, get creative. And
I stick to my guns.
you've always been creative, but you haven't said, okay, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to trash that and do this. You've always had a path.
I stick to my... What I love is the roots of the music. That is a natural inborn thing for me. So I keep it real, the way I feel it. I don't want to change it for anything else. Yet I can adapt to any situation. Dancehall, I can make one of the wickedest dancehall tune if I choose to. But I just love keep it real. And I love a thing called Lover's Rock. It gives me a great feel.
Yeah.
And that's where the original Studio One feel comes from. That's what people describe as Lover's Rock. So
That's true. That kind of that terminology is, because everybody's always trying to put terminology to music. That terminology has kind of faded away a little bit, but it's still there. It's obviously a component of like roots music.
Oh yeah,
foundation.
the nice broad horn sound, the nice melodious harmonies, the cool groove, the crooner. It's Lover's Rock.
Keith Lynn of Byron Lee and the Dragonaires.
Jamaica at one point had no music that we call our own. We used to calypso, but it was not really calypso. The little calypso bands would play, in the hotels. That was mento, like folk song kind of thing. And we went down to one of these, one of the areas in Kingston was really bad, and they had this music, and we heard this coming up, and that's where the ska came from, out of that little concrete area, like a big yard. Everybody's playing and singing. And that's where all those big artists came from, like Toots and the Maytals and the Paragons and all these guys. That's where they started from, So that's where the ska came. Baron picked it up, and we notes are very infectious, and a lot of people want to do it. And we try to put it into a song, and also to have a dance steps choreographed to this. And we actually had an album come out called Jamaica Ska, a song we wrote, and we introduced it with dance steps. In Lake George was the first place we did that.
And that is the
Lake George,
ska,
New York,
the
ska.
dance, yeah.
Yes, then down to New York Hilton, Manhattan Center, at the Round Table, all these famous places introducing the ska. So we feel that we played a part in getting Jamaican music on board in the United States.
And really, when you talk about Jamaican ska, you wrote the song.
Yes.
You wrote Jamaica Ska.
Yes.
Which was a very, very, very popular song. And
still is.
Yeah, it still is, too. We just played that not too long ago here at WRW. Recording engineer for Federal Records, Graeme Goodall. I know you talked about Don Drummond in other interviews. He was a guy that was difficult to work with, as you described it. Were you able to get a little, here's my Yiddish term, were you able to build any kismet with him?
No, nobody was. I wasn't alone. In fact, I was, I guess, the one who got closest to him of all was Dodd, was Downbeat Coxsone. No, I never got through to him, but I didn't take that personally. He was just, as a musician, incredible. As a human being, hopelessly messed up, poor guy. I didn't take it. It was just, and I understood right from the start. Again, I think I have that ability to understand people quite well. And I knew that nothing I could say or do was going to change his attitude. All I could do was just sit down and open the microphone and hope it all came together.
Tell me one example of his behavior that maybe you haven't shared before. Just a little story about it.
I use it all the time. You've probably heard it before, but there was one point. It was for Coxsone. And, he had a solo. He got the solo spot. And he just pointed the horn up to the roof and up to the ceiling and over to the other side. And I went in and I finished it. I said, Don, this is not working out. I said, if you take a solo, you've got to get in closer into the microphone. I got to hear you. I said, but I'm playing the horn. I said, I know you're playing the horn. I said, but I get you enough. To put it down on tape, I've got to hear you. And, all the other guys were just saying, they had that look, Standing Notice Ribs, Roland Alfonso, Baba Brooks, all these guys were in there. I forget the names of them, but the trumpet players. And, they're just looking at me saying, you know, they didn't say anything, but they're saying, Mr. Goody, give it up, you know. But anyway, I tried to talk to him, so I went in there and started recording. And he's on the brass line, he's playing back. And then time came for his solo, nothing, absolutely nothing. I look, and Don has taken his horn, he's gone out the door, and he's laying the horn out in the passageway, just to show me that he was going to record, he was going to play the horn where he wanted to play the horn. What do you do? And I went up to, it was Alan, Coxsone wasn't there, I don't think, at that time. I said, Alan, let's get somebody else to play the solo. And he said, yeah, okay. And so I got somebody else to play the solo. Mm. There was no point in trying to push it any further.
He used to...
When he was on the spot, he was great.
Yeah.
You know, again, I think he was the one, if I remember rightly, who played the opening to Carry Go Bring Come, which was wonderful. Which was absolutely incredible. It was just right.
Tony Screw of Downbeat Sound System.
Yes, well, I'm the foundation of the sound who continue the original Studio One Coxsone name in America, which is New York City. And I carry the name now for 18 years now.
18 years? What else should they know?
Well, they know me as the Studio One man, you know, who don't play around to play dub plates and original plastic from Studio One label.
For the people who do know you and do know what Downbeat's about and have sound system tapes at home, what would you tell them?
Yes, well, you see what happening, we go with the times, know what's going on, so we play for everybody, all kind of music, whether it's Channel One studio, it doesn't matter, you know, our Jammies or whatever, if it's Steely and Clevie, any one of them, but we really specialize in the original thing when it comes down to business, so it's Studio One. That's why we have that name, Downbeat. So we have that name for a meaning, you understand? So whenever the people come out to hear Downbeat, I'm going to hear at least some good Studio One before the night is over, every time.
The following is an interview with Coxsone Dodd, and you have to understand the setting. We're sitting at a table at Music City, and we're going over maps of Kingston and pinpointing different locations that Coxsone Dodd had established businesses over the years, identifying specific times, what the use of the area or space was, and some of the things that happened there. This does appear as a map in an early edition in the 1990s of the Reggae Directory magazine, the Coxsone Dodd edition.
To sell sodas or something out of the...
No, well, he's talking before
Beacon
the
Street
sound.
and Love Lane, is it?
Eh?
Is it Beacon
Street and Love Lane.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's the very first spot?
Spot, yeah.
How old were you when you started that?
Well, I would say about 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
You had to purchase property for that?
No. To rent the premises. And at that time, the landlord felt that I wasn't responsible enough, so I had to take my mother to rent the place. Yeah, so she did, but I and my mother, we work along over the years. You know?
So I understand, yeah.
That's right.
So what did that consist of? What did you do there?
What I did there? Well, that is when we started selling records and wholesale liquor. Mm-hmm. You know, beers, rum, and soda, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. We started that at Love Lane and Beeson Street.
And those were American import records at the time, right?
Well, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, at that time. Okay. That's right.
And then where did you shoot off from there?
Well, I rented a place in Love Lane, close to Ward Theatre.
Okay.
And this premises, I had a piano, and that's the way we could rehearse the artists before going into studio.
Mm-hmm. So that was solely for the creation of music?
Of music, plus printing of labels.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Because that's how you get your money. A lot of people don't understand that.
Yeah,
that's
right.
where the key is.
Yeah. You don't mind its work?
Absolutely not. Then after that, did Brentford Road come up, or did you go somewhere else?
No, after that, we got a place on Orange Street now.
Uh-huh.
That was Beat Street. Orange Street, and Charles Street, corner of Charles Street. And that was more like a better record shop, but we went into like records and fashion, you know, clothing.
Oh.
Yeah.
I never knew that.
Yeah.
Did you sell liquor there too? Was that like a hangout type place?
No, we kept the liquor down by Beeson Street.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were all three of these simultaneous then? Orange and Charles, Love Lane by the Ward Theater, and Beacon Street and Love Lane?
Well, we started Love Lane and Beeson Street first, until we acquired this place down Love Lane, near Ward Theater, right? That was like a rehearsal center plus a bar in the front.
Okay.
Right. And a printery also. Because it was a back premises of about 5 rooms plus a shop we had occupied. Yeah. Come. Yeah.
So we have 1, 2, 3. Where did you shoot after that? Where'd you go after that from Orange and Charles?
While we are there now, I acquired this place on Brentford Road.
13 Brentford Road.
13 Brentford Road.
And that was a actual studio.
Then we built the studio after we got Brentford Road. We started building the studio.
And that's been a home base ever since. That's the home base of Music City.
Yeah.
And the Jamaica Recording Company.
That's right, yeah. But while we were at Brentford Road, we still had the Orange Street store.
Okay.
Yeah.
And were these obsolete at that point, the first two?
Well, after we acquired Brentford Road, this became obsolete. The Love Lane place for rehearsal and whatever like this.
Welton Park Road. Did you have a place there? Did that come next?
No, that was
what came next?
Pretty early. Huh?
What came next?
After what?
After Brentford Road.
No, well, Brentford Road was it because it was a big premises, so it could house everything. But while I was at Love Lane and Beeson Street, we had a club along Walton Park Road.
Okay.
And that had enough space that we usually keep a lot of auditioning there, you know. Because on Sundays while we was auditioning, you'd have a big crowd who would attend the audition, people buying drinks and whatever it is. So it was a good move still. Working, but we was making money at the same time.
Then we have where we are now in Brooklyn.
Yeah, well, that's now is. There's a point where you had asked why I thought of Brooklyn, but I figure more or less, yes, New York is more central for distribution. And I left Jamaica at the time when the foreign exchange was quite difficult, you see. So I had to close my manufacturing plant and remove to here. Well, no regrets because we have come a long way distributing all part of the world, you know, because you have people from all part of the world come here and purchase. They send the order from Japan, wherever, and we export. We do more exporting than local business. Yeah.
I came in here one day and the boxes were probably 9 foot tall, and the whole room was just packed with them.
Well, yes, you're lucky this week because we only last week we sent out shipment to Jetstar in England and Ross Records. There are quite a few boxes out there, but it cleared up. Like,
yeah, this is the least amount of boxes I've ever seen.
Yes, we're trying to get all that sorted out, you know.
So with the Brooklyn address, does that have we discussed all your different locations over the years?
Yes, so far. Yeah,
okay, that's a lot of locations. Juggling a lot of stuff.